Now by Jonathan Conricus, former IDF spokesperson in Tel Aviv and senior fellow at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. Thank you so much for being with me, sir. On the latest strikes, we are seeing Iranian missiles hit southern Israel, with dozens injured and at least some projectiles not being intercepted. What are you hearing about how this attack unfolded?
Yes, thanks for having me on. I'm hearing that the Israeli Air Force, which is also in charge of air defense, is investigating, trying to ascertain how that missile slipped through and delivered more than half a ton of explosives into a densely populated urban area. Another attack by the Iranian regime against Israeli civilians. I'll just, for reference here, say that all of Israel's casualties in this war against Iran are civilians. Those that have been killed, murdered by Iran, by their missiles that they're firing at Israeli civilians, and those have been wounded. Not a single soldier has been wounded by Iran. And that, again, goes to show what the Iranians are aiming for and what they really are trying to do.
We know at least some of these missiles landed close to Israel's nuclear research area. How concerning is that from a security standpoint?
It's concerning, obviously. Any time that an objective the size of a bus with half a ton or a ton of explosives penetrates your air defenses and explodes anywhere, that is, of course, of concern. Any significant security facility wherever in Israel has additional layers of hard and soft defense. But it is, of course, concerning that the Iranians have been able to, they've fired already a few hundreds of missiles against Israel. The success rate of interception is very, very high. The combined effort of US and Israeli and other air defense systems. But unfortunately, and this has been said by Israeli authorities all throughout, unfortunately, we can never promise 100%, even though Israeli air defense is probably best in the world. 100% is never obtainable. Special targets, special security infrastructure, for instance, in Haifa, we know that the Iranians have been firing at our oil refinery, and they've been trying to hit oil and gas infrastructure. All of those attacks have been thwarted, and all of those incoming ballistic missiles have been thwarted. So it's a high percentage, and what Israeli authorities tell Israeli people, whenever you hear alarms, go to the shelters, because we cannot assure 100%.
Just wondering, from a civilian perspective, with dozens injured, homes hit, fires reported, what does this do to the public mood in Israel right now, especially in the south, as people are waking up?
Yeah, of course, it's been 3 weeks for Israeli civilians of millions, many times a day, rushing in and out of bomb shelters. I think I would be dishonest to say that it doesn't affect Israelis. It does, and there is fatigue on the civilian side as well. I'm sure that many civilians would want this to be over and done with. But then, on the other hand, Israelis are quite tough and resilient people. We've been through this before. It isn't, unfortunately, a new reality for Israelis to have to rush to bomb shelter because someone is firing bombs at us, whether it's Hezbollah, Hamas, Iranians, Syrians, Iraqis, or Yemenites. It matters less which Muslim or Arab is firing the missiles. It matters more what Israelis can do to defend themselves. And I would say that when you look at public sentiment as reflected in social media, and a few polls, Israelis are strong, resolute, and I think many Israelis believe and hope that this round of fighting, this campaign against Iran, will be different in the sense that it will change the trajectory and the security situation long term, and not have to return to these endless attacks by different Iranian-funded terror organizations around us, whether it's Hamas or Hezbollah or the Iranians themselves, and hopefully really change the security situation. And if that is attainable, then I think Israelis are going to be able to put up with even more. And of course, hoping that air defenses will be even tighter, and that civilians will be disciplined and actually take shelter when the alarms sound.
Do you think that this could mark a new phase in the war, one where Iran is able to land more direct and damaging blows inside Israel?
No, I don't think so. That's the number one question I've been asking and got answers from the IDF and other authorities. I don't think that's the case. What I do think is something that people should be aware of is that Israel and the US enjoy full freedom of action to strike any target that we want or see necessary and fit in Iran. And up until now, the US and Israel have not have decided not to strike a lot of targets that are of national and civilian and economic importance. But if these targets are struck in Israel by Iran, then of course Israel will retaliate in kind. And I can assure you and everybody what Israel do with precise munitions and delivered by pilots, not fired far away by missiles, but delivered by pilots, is beyond recognition. Anything much more precise and lethal than what the Iranians can do. Israel has been holding back. Israel is holding back, not wanting to do long-term economic damage or environmental damage to Iran. The Iranians, on the other hand, are firing missiles at civilian infrastructure and trying to kill our civilians, trying to hit our gas, electric, and other types of infrastructure. If that unfortunately succeeds, then Israel, I think, will retaliate, and that will be an escalation.
Yes, indeed. These are very scary times. So thank you for going through it with us. Jonathan Conricus, we appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.